Going on, fam? Back with another entry in my Clearing the Fog series. This is a series that I've been shooting, just kind of documenting my journey as I'm going through this defogging, as you would say, of just quitting and becoming more sober in my life, right? Not becoming more sober, becoming sober in my life, right? If you don't know, back in February, I did quit smoking weed after smoking for about 6 years. And here I am on day 60. And I thought with this video, I'd spend some time talking about just my experience thus far, about what I expected to get out of it, the 5 things I expected to get out of it, versus what the reality actually looked like. So, not going to spend a lot of time talking through it, but I would like to say share, comment, talk to me if you are also on this journey, and let's just build this community a little bit more. But for me, first and foremost, the expectation that I want to get out of being sober is the social clarity, right? So for me, oftentimes I would smoke before going to do a social event because I want to kind of dull down that social anxiety that you sometimes get when you're going to meet people for the first time. And I want to be, for me, more clear as I'm meeting people for the first time because I want to be intentional about just the friendships that I was gaining and the new people that I was letting into my life. And while that is true and while that is something that I gained, that social clarity, I will say that something that was newly introduced to me were social pressures. Uh, as a former smoker, I didn't realize how many people around me were also smoking, right? And just how accepted that is in society. And now that I'm being more intentional about being sober, there's a lot more pressure, in my opinion, to just give in and also do the same thing. So I think these social pressures is a new aspect that I'm navigating, but for me, it's a reality that is worth working through. So that was number one. Number two, I expected that I'd get better sleep, right? As somebody who was a former smoker, I used to smoke before going to bed because I thought that that would help calm down my heart rate. As you know, weed is a suppressant, and for in my opinion, it did help me sleep. But what I found as I was coming off of smoking the night before is that I'd wake up feeling a little bit groggy and not as well rested as I should be. So the reality is that uh, that is true, but with the caveat, right? So what I'm realizing now is that I became very dependent on smoking before going to bed at night, and now I've got to be a lot more intentional about what I'm doing 2 to 3 hours before going to bed, because that can be the difference between getting some quality sleep or tossing and turning for like an hour before going to bed. Also affects my heart rate, right? So if I'm not intentional about what my sleep routine looks like, I realized that my heart rate value is a little bit higher because I was maybe watching something that got me a bit excited or having a conversation that had me a bit excited. Decided to work out before going to sleep, and then my sleep quality just plummets and it's horrible. So the reality is, on the days that I'm really intentional, turning off the lights and turning off the phone like an hour before going to bed, doing my nighttime routines, the sleep is just A1, and I wake up feeling so restored and so refreshed. So yes, that is a reality, but you've got to tweak things a little bit. So the third thing for me was that I wanted to become more intentional about being focused and having that ability to lock in. And this is an expectation that turned into a reality because my focus of these past 2 months, with a small caveat of like the first 2 weeks of going through withdrawals, but once I got over that hump, my focus has been just amazing. If anybody follows me on my social medias, if you follow me on my social medias, TikTok and IG, Mikey's Cart, you can kind of see like from December, January into today, just how my content has evolved, how it has become sharper, and that's because I've had clarity where I didn't have it before. Right, I'm able to lock in and actually get these ideas out of my head, put it on paper, and then eventually put it before the camera. So that's definitely an expectation that lined up with reality. Just the clarity and the focus has been just really locked in. On that note, I also thought that with quitting smoking, that my diet and my appetite will become more consistent. that it'll be a little bit flatter. Because for anybody who has smoked, and for my smokers out there, you know that after you smoke, like 30 minutes to an hour, the appetite just spikes, and then you end up eating all the things that you probably shouldn't be eating. And it kind of throws off your diet and your appetite for the rest of the day. Or conversely, you're at the end of the day, you end up eating more than you need to. So me, the expectation was that I'd be a bit more focused and leveled out when it comes to my diet. The reality is that I've got to again be more intentional about what I'm eating because I don't find myself getting as hungry as often. I think that my brain is still kind of finding that baseline and recalibrating to just what my hunger pains are, or just what my hunger needs are throughout the day. And if I'm not intentional about eating 3 to 4 square meals a day, I can go the whole day without like eating a whole lot. I'll just graze and snack and drink my water, and then realize, oh crap, it's 5 p.m. and I haven't eaten anything since 7 a.m. this morning when I had that banana. So still something in reality that I'm calibrating and I've got to be intentional about. I want to share that with you because I think that's something that's commonly um, shared amongst people who are on this journey of cessation. And that brings me to my final point, which is my expectation was that my training would become more consistent because I wasn't having that morning grogginess and I didn't have like the suppressant that is weed in my life anymore. And the reality is that not a whole lot has changed, right? I think that I learned how to navigate through being consistent with my training even while I was smoking, so that now that I'm not smoking anymore, that discipline, that consistency is already in place, and I don't have to, and I didn't really have to make a big adjustment. Now, I will say, I know I keep saying caveats. Now, I will say a small caveat is that I've got to be, again, intentional about what I'm eating, bringing it back to that last point, because if I'm not eating well and intentionally the day before, I feel it that next day when I'm training. Um, and that does cause some variance in my overall training. So, yes, training remain consistent, but just have to be very careful about just the fuel that you put in your body to make sure that you're getting the most out of it. So for me, those were the top five things that I'm experiencing now that I'm at day 60, right? 2 months? Yeah, 3 months. No, 2 months. Yeah, 2 months. So yeah, those are the top five things that I experienced for my first 2 months, 60 days into this journey. And as a bonus, I didn't want to include this because it wasn't really an expectation, but it was a reality that I experienced. I'm finding that I have become a more compulsive person. So let me backtrack and not blame all of this on just the cessation of smoking weed. That when you become sober, you become more compulsive. I've always been an impulsive person, right? My mind has always been racing. I always see the shortcomings and or the new projects and things that I want to do. But when I was smoking before, it made me more of a sedentary person where I would kind of lay back and take my time with starting something new. But now that I got this new clarity and this new focus in my life, I found that I pick up on new ideas and new stream of thoughts a lot quicker, and I start actioning it, and it's made me an impulsive person. So that's something that I've got to focus on a little bit more and try to rein in a bit, right? Because it's causing me to spend money in places that I wouldn't have spent before, or to go out and do things that I typically wouldn't have done, right? Like maybe it's a Thursday night and there's something cool happening in the city. Before I would smoke and kind of like chill out, be like, yeah, you had a long day, and go to sleep at my regular time. But now I'm like, oh, your boy is up, your boy is active, mind is clear, and this is one of those events that FOMO is not gonna hit me tomorrow because I'm going there tonight, right? I've just gotta rein that in a little bit. So if you are also an impulsive person, that might be the areas in me, right? Just be aware of that when you start this journey. But anyways, share your thoughts with me. What are your experiences if you're also on this journey with me, right? What have you expected versus what was the reality? Put in the comments below, and I'll talk to you all next time. Peace.